What up guys, we are back with another video. Thank you so much for tuning in. In this one, I am drawing Charizard. Not just any Charizard, a special edition. So I'm not going to direct you line by line on exactly how to draw this because honestly, the great thing about art is how your finished piece comes out and how your Charizard looks and how you customize it to how you like it. But pretty much whenever I'm drawing a character, whatever it is, I always start with the same process. And feel free to pause and play this video, if you need to pause it to, I guess, copy my line work or kind of use mine as a reference, definitely feel free. But I always use a similar approach whenever I'm designing a character. It always is a layered process. So as you can tell, I have my pencil and I am also looking at a reference. I'm not doing this blindly. I'm using a reference, but I'm changing it to make it my own, and that's the cool thing about art. You never really want to copy someone else's work. It's really fun to actually add your own twist and give it your own flavor so that it is unique to your art style. So the way I create, again, is with layering. So you can see my very first step is to create some kind of sketch. This is the first stage and the part where you can be as messy as you'd like because you're trying to establish where the lines need to be before you add the next layer. This is the most important step because it's your map, it's your guide to help you understand where the shapes and the lines are supposed to be compared to your reference. Take the most time on this step and go over your lines as many times as you need to until you start seeing it kind of come to life with pencil. The more and more you practice, the less and less you'll have to go over it and trying to refine it. Whenever you're drawing cartoons, pretty much the subject is made up of just lines and shapes. So if you look at what you're trying to recreate as a series of shapes and vertices, then it becomes easier to visualize, in my opinion, versus looking at this as how on earth am I going to draw Charizard? I don't think of it that way. I see a bunch of shapes that need to be correctly placed and angled in order to bring out the character. It can be daunting if you don't know where to start, but I usually start with the eyes or the nose and I just try to replicate those shapes that I see on my reference. So again, the first step is the most important because you want to be sure that what you are drawing is going to make sense when you outline it. Because once you apply the outline, it's pretty irreversible, so that's why understanding the sketch is super important. Also, I feel like using a grid is helpful if you're just starting out. That's a good idea too. But honestly, drawing Charizard, keep a keen eye on the curvature of his body and the face. If you can manage to sketch these out, then the recognizable features of Charizard are there, and you can customize the rest of him the way you want. Like in this drawing, I'm making him red and blue versus his original colors. Alright, so now I'm switching to a smaller fine liner so that I can go over my pencil with small liners so I can really solidify the character's shapes. This is the second layer that will bring Charizard's lines to life and really give you an idea of what the final outline should look like. Whenever you're outlining characters, don't be hard on your fine liner, just let it flow, man. Try to line it up as best as you can with your pencil sketch, and remember that even if these lines that you're putting down are not perfect, maybe they're a little wobbly or whatever, the next layer we can really fine-tune the lines with thicker marker. So this step is more for cementing the blueprint for how you want the outline to be. When it comes to drawing Charizard, again, focus on the head being as accurate as you can get it. If you need to erase and start over to make sure that you get the proper lines and shapes in the right spots to really bring out his face, then go right ahead. And make sure that your pencil lines are visible and apparent when you go to actually put down the first outline. One of the things I wish I would have done better at the beginning is spend more time on my actual sketch, because often I would sketch something and maybe the lines were too like transparent and I would end up outlining off in a different direction, or I just would have a hard time getting the proportions right. And again, feel free to stop and pause the video if you're using my drawing as a reference, but be easy on your fine liner. Don't force it, just glide with it and breathe while you're drawing. Don't hold your breath. And I know sometimes when you're like first learning, it can be advised to be very step by step with your drawings. Like, start with a circle, draw a line down the center of the face, draw a backwards C for the left ear, you know what I mean. To me, that kind of approach never really helped me personally. I just felt like it made my drawings more messy and convoluted. But if that works for you, definitely take it slower and really learn the proportions. After all, everything is about perception, so however you choose to develop your skills is totally up to you. But I will tell you that practice makes perfect. That's what it boils down to. But the hardest thing I think about drawing these characters is that if your outline doesn't coincide with the actual character's angles and proportions, it won't be recognizable to the average person. For example, if I drew SpongeBob with like oval eyes instead of perfect circles, or I don't get the angles on his square body correct, it won't be perceived as SpongeBob. It'll be SpongeBill rectangle pants, right? Actually, I think he is a rectangle, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's all about nailing those shapes. And as you can see now, I've taken my first fine liner. This is my second layer, and I've gone over my pencil drawing, and pretty much I'm ready to go over it now in thicker liner. So this is my favorite part, because this is like when it really comes to life and the lines start to look really crispy, like they were supposed to be there all along. So I'm using an Artist Loft thick liner to make sure that I solidified Charizard. This is my favorite part because a lot of my confidence comes back when I actually see the outline pop and it comes to life. But just remember to focus on your lines, don't push too hard, and really visualize what you want before you do it. You definitely don't want to rush any part of the final layering process, because there's no going back on your lines at this step. You can either make them fatter, or that's about it. You can't really, actually that's about it. You can always go thicker, but you can't go thinner. So what's your favorite part about creating an illustration? Let me know down in the comments. So now I'm going in with two colors, a light red and a darker red, keeping it simple. Alcohol-based markers are a perfect medium for creating on paper because it gives it like a print-like feel, because the colors are so flat, meaning they don't streak like your traditional water-based markers. But my objective here was to make a special edition Charizard, so my version of that means Charizard with some cool alternative colors and a dope vibrant background. So what I do is I'm going over the whole character with my lightest shade. Then I typically try to blend in the darker color where naturally certain types of the body would appear further away. For example, the curvature in the head or the arms or the belly. I hit the edge of these parts with darker color and try to blend it in with the lighter color. And if you don't have markers that blend, you can do this with water-based markers too. It may not be as smooth of a gradient, but you'll still definitely notice more structure and the character won't look so flat. So like as you can tell, the stomach sort of appears three-dimensional because of the gradient texture from light to dark. You can really apply the same concept when you're using pencils and stuff, but looking at this, I wish I would have made the fire coming out of his mouth and his tail like maybe pink or purple to give it some kind of color range and more contrast to the color of his actual body. But it is what it is. And to top it off, I'm just going in with two different shades of green to really give the background that pop, so that it contrasts really well with the overall red tone of his body. But that is it, you guys. I hope you learned something. I hope this helped. I know it wasn't a step-by-step walkthrough on how to draw Charizard, because I think that's a little bit unrealistic. It really boils down to practicing and fine-tuning your technique. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Until next time, peace.